The frost came early that November. Not the light dusting you might expect in southern Poland, but the kind of cold that seeps through your gear and settles into your bones. Makes you wish you'd brought one more layer. We were 3 kilometers north of the Ukrainian border, part of a NATO joint task force conducting what they called routine terrain reconnaissance. Routine. That's what they always call it until it isn't. I was a staff sergeant with the US Army at the time, attached to a multinational unit that included Polish territorial defense forces and a handful of British forward observers. The mission was straightforward enough. Survey the area, document the landscape, verify coordinates for potential artillery positions, standard stuff. The kind of work that makes you think about what you're having for dinner more than what might be lurking in the tree line. The crater wasn't on any of our maps. We'd been moving along a ridgeline when Lieutenant Davies spotted it through his binos, called us up to take a look. It was maybe 400 meters down the slope, cutting through what used to be farmland. The field had gone fallow years ago, reclaimed by wild grass and bramble, but you could still see the old furrows if you knew what to look for. The crater sat right in the middle of it all, perfectly circular, maybe 30 meters across. "What's that from?" Private Kowalski asked. He was young, early 20s, spoke better English than some of the Americans I'd served with. Polish territorial forces were like that, educated, motivated. Davies adjusted his binoculars. Old ordnance, maybe. Soviet era. They tested artillery in this region back in the 70s. Bit clean for a shell crater, Sergeant Mills said. He was British, been deployed to every frozen hellhole from Estonia to Norway. Had that weathered look of someone who'd seen his share of strange things and learned to keep his mouth shut about most of them. I pulled out the survey map, traced our position with my finger. Nothing marked here. No training range indicators. No warning signs for unexploded ordnance, just blank space and contour lines. The wind picked up, cutting across the ridge with enough force to make us turn our backs to it. Through the gaps in the clouds, you could see the sun getting low on the horizon. Maybe 2 hours of daylight left, maybe less. "We should check it out," Davies said. "Document it. Could be relevant for the artillery survey." I didn't like it. Can't say exactly why, just one of those feelings you get after enough time in uniform, when something looks wrong even if you can't put your finger on what. But Davies was the ranking officer, and nothing in our rules of engagement said we couldn't investigate an old crater in the middle of a field. "Your call, sir," I told him. "But we're losing light. We'll be quick, in and out, 30 minutes maximum." That's how it always starts. The descent took longer than expected. The slope was steeper than it looked from above, covered in loose shale that slid under our boots with every step. Kowalski went down hard at one point, caught himself with his rifle, came up swearing in Polish. Mills offered him a hand, but he waved it off. Pride thing. I got it. As we got closer, the temperature seemed to drop. Not gradually, suddenly, like walking into a freezer. I saw Davies's breath turn to fog in the air, watched him pull his collar tighter around his neck. The others felt it too. You could tell by the way they moved, shoulders hunched, weapons held a little tighter. The crater was bigger than it looked from the ridge. 30 meters across at the lip, sure, but it dropped down at least 10 meters deep. The sides were smooth, almost glassy, like the earth had been melted rather than blown apart. Patches of grass grew around the rim, but nothing inside, just bare dirt, black as oil, and in the center... "Christ," Mills whispered. The center of the crater was collapsed in on itself, forming a hole maybe 2 meters wide. The kind of hole that doesn't look natural, doesn't look like anything you'd want to get close to. Around it, scattered in a rough circle, were stones. Not rocks. Stones. Placed deliberately. Each one about the size of a human head, each one marked with symbols that might have been letters, but weren't any alphabet I recognized. Davies pulled out his camera, started taking photos. Standard documentation procedure. Wide shots, detail shots, shots with his hand in frame for scale. Professional. By the book. Sir, Kowalski said quietly, I don't think we should be here. It's just an old crater, Private. No, sir. With respect, I'm from this area. My grandmother, she told stories about places like this. Stories, Davies said, not unkindly. We're here for facts. But I was listening because I'd been deployed long enough to know that when the locals tell you to stay away from somewhere, you should probably stay away from somewhere. What kind of stories? Kowalski looked at the hole, then back at me. Old stories. Before the war. Before the Soviets. There are places in this land that are older, places where the earth is thin, where things can come through. Mills snorted. Come through from where? Kowalski didn't answer, just kept staring at that hole in the center of the crater. And I realized his rifle wasn't slung anymore. He was holding it ready, high ready position, like he expected contact. The sun dropped below the tree line. Shadows stretched across the crater floor, long and dark and moving, in ways shadows probably shouldn't move. I checked my watch. We'd been here 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and I wanted nothing more than to be back up on that ridge, moving toward the rally point, putting distance between us and this place. Sir, I should call this in, I said. Let command know we found an unmapped crater, possible UXO hazard. Davies nodded, still photographing. Good idea, Sergeant. Give them our coordinates. I pulled my radio off my belt, keyed the mic. Raptor 1, this is Raptor 2-1. Radio check over. Static. I adjusted the squelch, tried again. Raptor 1, Raptor 2-1. Radio check over. More static. Thicker this time, like white noise, but underneath it something else, something that might have been breathing. Davies looked up from his camera. Problem? I'm not getting through. Let me try the backup, Freck. I cycled through 3 different frequencies, got the same static on all of them. Mills tried his radio. Same thing, even Kowalski's handheld, which was on a completely different system than ours, gave back nothing but that thick, breathing static. Equipment malfunction, Davies suggested, but his voice had changed. The officer's certainty was gone, replaced by something tighter, more uncertain. All of us at once. Mills shook his head. Not likely. Could be the terrain, I said, knowing it wasn't. We're in a depression. Metal content in the soil might be interfering with the signal. Davies looked at the crater walls, then at the sky, then at his watch. Right. We'll head back up to the ridge, get clear of the interference. We've got our documentation. He packed away his camera, checked his compass. We started moving toward the slope we'd come down, boots crunching on the strange black earth. That's when we heard it. A sound. From the hole. Not wind, not settling earth, not any animal I'd ever heard in my life. It was wet, organic, like something pulling itself through mud, like something breathing, like something waking up. We all froze. 4 trained soldiers, weapons ready, eyes locked on that dark opening in the crater's center. For maybe 10 seconds, nothing happened. Just our breath fogging in the cold air, just the wind moving through dead grass, just the sound of my pulse hammering in my ears. Then the stones around the hole began to shift. Not falling, not rolling, shifting, moving inward, slowly, like they were being pulled by invisible strings. One of them rocked back and forth 3 times, deliberate, before sliding toward the hole and disappearing into the darkness below. "We need to leave," Kowalski said. His voice was steady, but his face had gone pale. "We need to leave right now." Davies nodded. Everyone back to the slope. Move. We moved. Not running, not yet, but fast. Professional speed. Controlled. Mills took point. I brought up the rear, kept my weapon trained on that hole as we backed away. Another stone slid into the darkness, then another. The wet breathing sound got louder. 20 meters from the slope. 15. The temperature kept dropping. I could see ice crystals forming on Mills's weapon. Could see frost spreading across the crater walls, moving against the wind, moving toward us. 10 meters. That's when something came out of the hole. I can't tell you what it looked like. Not clearly. My brain won't hold the memory properly. It's like trying to remember a dream that slips away the harder you focus on it. But I can tell you what I felt. Terror. Pure animal terror. The kind that bypasses your training and your experience and your rational mind and goes straight to the part of your brain that knows its prey. It was big. Bigger than it should have been to fit through that hole. Bigger than anything had a right to be. It moved wrong, not like any animal, not like any machine, like it didn't quite understand how physics worked in this world, like it was learning as it went, and it was looking at us. "Move!" Davies shouted, and we moved. The slope was hell going up, loose shale, steep angle, adrenaline making us clumsy. Kowalski slipped again, went down on one knee, and I grabbed his pack and hauled him up. Mills was ahead, climbing like his life depended on it, which it might have. Davies was right behind him, glancing back every few seconds, face locked in an expression I'd never seen on an officer before. Pure fear. The thing behind us made a sound. Not breathing anymore. Worse. A sound like metal scraping on bone. Like a voice that hadn't been used in 1,000 years, trying to form words. It echoed off the crater walls, got inside my head, made my teeth ache. I looked back once. Just once. It was at the base of the slope, moving toward us. Parts of it were solid. Parts of it seemed to fade in and out, like it wasn't completely here, like it was stuck between this world and somewhere else. The stones from around the hole were following it, rolling along behind like loyal dogs. "Keep moving," I shouted, and we kept moving. We hit the ridgeline, gasping. Mills vomited into the grass. Kowalski was praying in Polish, the words tumbling over each other. Davies was already trying his radio again, jabbing at the controls like he could force it to work through sheer willpower. Static, nothing but static. "We need to get back to the vehicles," I said. "Get out of range. Get somewhere we can call for support." "It's still down there," Mills said, pointing at the crater. I could see it moving at the bottom, circling, pacing, looking up at us with things that might have been eyes. Then we move. Now, we moved. Fast walk becoming a jog, becoming a run. The forest swallowed us, branches whipping past, roots trying to trip us. Behind us, that sound, that scraping, grinding, not quite voice sound. Following. The sun was gone. Full dark coming on fast. We had lights on our weapons, on our helmets, but turning them on would make us targets, would let it know exactly where we were. So we ran through the dark, using what little moonlight came through the clouds, using memory of the terrain we'd mapped earlier. The vehicles were parked 3 kilometers north, 3 kilometers through forest and field and broken ground, 3 kilometers with that thing behind us. We'd made maybe 1 kilometer when Mills went down, not tripped, pulled. Something wrapped around his ankle and yanked him backward into the brush. He hit the ground hard, weapon flying from his hands, and started screaming. I spun, brought my rifle up, couldn't see what had him. Kowalski and Davies were there half a second later, weapons trained, trying to find a target. Mills kept screaming, kept being dragged backward through the underbrush, leaves and branches snapping, his fingers clawing at the dirt. I grabbed his hand, got a solid grip, held on, something pulled back. I'm a big man. 6'2", 200 pounds, strong enough to haul a fellow soldier through hell if I need to, but whatever had Mills was stronger. It pulled, and I slid forward, boots digging furrows in the earth, and I was going to lose him or get dragged in with him. Kowalski fired. 3-round burst into the darkness behind Mills. Then another. The thing pulling Mills let go, and he scrambled forward on his hands and knees, face white, ankle bent at an angle that made my stomach turn. "Can you walk?" Davies asked. Mills tried, couldn't. Collapsed with a cry that he bit off halfway through. "No, sir." I got him. I hauled Mills up, got him over my shoulder in a fireman's carry. 200 pounds of British soldier and gear, but adrenaline is a hell of a drug. Let's move. We moved. Slower now. Way slower, Mills grunting with pain every time I took a step. Kowalski and Davies covering our rear, weapons up, scanning the darkness. That sound behind us getting closer, always getting closer. The radio on my belt crackled, not static this time. Words, broken, wrong, Raptor, 2-1, respond. But the voice wasn't human, wasn't anything that should be able to work a radio. It was that same grinding, scraping sound from the crater, trying to mimic human speech, getting it almost right but not quite. "Don't answer it," Kowalski said. "Whatever you do, don't answer it." The radio crackled again. "Sergeant, help, please," using my voice, using my words, like it had recorded me earlier and was playing it back, trying to trick us into stopping, into responding, into letting it get closer. I ripped the radio off my belt and threw it into the woods. We kept moving, 2 kilometers to the vehicles. Then 1.5. Mills passed out from the pain, which was probably a mercy. Lighter to carry that way, less screaming. Davies's night vision was working better than mine, so he took point. Kowalski stayed on rear guard, burning through magazines, firing at shadows, at sounds, at anything that moved. 1 kilometer. The trees thinned out, open field ahead, and beyond it, the vehicles. I could see them parked in formation exactly where we'd left them. Safety, extraction, home. That's when all our radios went silent. Not static, silence. Complete and total. Like someone had flipped a switch and turned off every electronic device within 10 kilometers. My watch stopped. Davies's night vision went dark. Even the light on Kowalski's weapon died. And in that silence we heard it. All around us. Not behind anymore. Around. That grinding voice, coming from the trees, from the field, from the ground beneath our feet. Like it was everywhere and nowhere. Like it had stopped chasing and started surrounding. "Run!" Davies said. We ran. Across the field. Gear rattling, breath burning, Mills heavy on my shoulder and getting heavier. The vehicles were 100 meters away, 50, 25. I could see the lead vehicle's door hanging open, exactly how we'd left it. Could see our gear piled in the back. Could see something standing between us and the trucks. It wasn't the same thing from the crater. This one was smaller, more human-shaped, but it moved the same way. Wrong. Impossible. It stood there in the moonlight, and I could see it wasn't standing on the ground. It was hovering maybe 6 inches above it, head tilted at an angle that would break a human neck, watching us approach. Davies didn't slow down. Neither did Kowalski. Neither did I. We hit that thing at a full run, and it scattered. Not like we'd knocked it down, like it had never been solid in the first place, like it had been made of smoke and moonlight and bad intentions, and our momentum carried us straight through it. I threw Mills into the back of the vehicle, climbed in after him. Kowalski dove into the driver's seat, Davies rode shotgun, and the engine turned over on the first try. Thank God, thank whoever was listening. Thank every saint in heaven that the engine turned over. We were moving before anyone had time to close their doors, tires spitting gravel, headlights cutting through the dark, speedometer climbing, 30 kilometers per hour, 50, 80. The field blurred past, the trees blurred past, and behind us, lit by the taillights, I could see them, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, standing in the field we'd just left, all facing the same direction, all watching us go. All perfectly still except for their heads, which tracked our movement with mechanical precision. How long we drove, I can't say. Time had gone strange. Could have been 10 minutes. Could have been an hour. We didn't stop until we reached the main highway, didn't slow down until we saw other vehicles. Civilian traffic, proof that the world was still normal somewhere beyond that field and those trees and that crater. Kowalski pulled into a rest stop, cut the engine. We sat there in silence, breathing hard, trying to remember how to be human again. Davies tried his radio. It crackled to life immediately. Clear signal, perfect reception. Raptor 1. This is Raptor 2-1. We're code yellow, I repeat, code yellow. We have one casualty requiring immediate medical attention and need emergency extraction. How copy? The response came back instantly. Professional, concerned, completely normal. Raptor 2-1, solid copy. What's your location? We gave them our coordinates. They scrambled a medevac for Mills, had us back at the base within 2 hours. Mills went straight to the hospital. The rest of us went straight to debriefing. That's when things got complicated. The debriefing was standard at first. What happened, when, where, how many of you saw it? We told them everything. The crater, the stones, the thing that came out of the hole. The pursuit through the forest, the others in the field. All of it. They listened, took notes, didn't interrupt. When we finished, the colonel leading the debriefing set down his pen and looked at us for a long moment. "Gentlemen," he said, "I need you to understand something. The area you were surveying has been used for military exercises since the 1960s, Russian, Soviet, and now NATO. We have extensive documentation of every training exercise, every artillery test, every live fire event. There are unexploded ordnances, there are old bunkers. There are a lot of things that can look strange when you're tired and the light is bad." "Sir, with respect," Davies said, "all 4 of us saw the same thing." The colonel nodded. "I don't doubt you saw something, Lieutenant, but I need to know if any of you have been diagnosed with acute stress reaction, if any of you might have been suffering from exhaustion or environmental exposure that could affect judgment." "We weren't imagining it," I said. "I'm not saying you were. I'm saying that based on your description and our records, there's no evidence of anything unusual in that area. The crater you described doesn't appear on any satellite imagery. The terrain matches standard agricultural land that's been fallow for approximately 15 years. No anomalies, no structures, no stones." He pulled out a tablet, turned it toward us. Satellite images, dated 3 days prior. The field we'd been in, clear as day. No crater, just flat farmland and grass. "That's impossible," Kowalski said. "We were there. We documented it." Lieutenant Davies took photographs. Davies reached for his camera, pulled out the memory card. The colonel already had a card reader waiting. Professional, like he'd done this before, like he'd been expecting this exact moment. The photos loaded. Every single one of them showed the same thing. An empty field, no crater, no stones, no hole. Just Davies's hand in frame for scale, hovering over absolutely nothing. "I don't understand," Davies said quietly. "I was photographing the crater. I saw it. Through the viewfinder, I saw it." The colonel closed the tablet. "Gentlemen, you've been in the field for 6 days straight in sub-freezing temperatures with limited sleep and high stress. Private Mills has a severe ankle fracture that medical is attributing to a fall during night movement. All of your radio equipment experienced simultaneous failure consistent with cold weather battery degradation. These things happen. They're unfortunate, but they happen." "Sir," I started, but he held up a hand. "This is what the report will say. You conducted a standard terrain survey. You encountered no hostile forces. You experienced equipment malfunction due to environmental factors. Private Mills was injured during return movement to your vehicles and received appropriate medical care. Is that understood?" It was an order disguised as a question. We all recognized it. "Yes, sir," we said. The colonel stood. "Good. You're all due for 72 hours of rest and recovery. I suggest you take it. Don't discuss this incident with anyone outside of this room." That's not a suggestion. We were dismissed. Walked out of that briefing room in silence. Didn't speak until we were outside, standing in the cold November air that suddenly felt warm compared to that crater. "They're covering it up," Kowalski said quietly. "Whatever we found, they already knew about it. Or they know we found something they can't explain," Mills said. He'd been released from medical with a cast and crutches. Severe fracture, they'd told him. Consistent with a fall. Nothing about being dragged. Nothing about the marks around his ankle that looked like fingers, because those marks were gone by the time the doctors examined him. Davies lit a cigarette with shaking hands. I don't know what we saw out there. I don't know what to call it. But I know it was real. I looked back at the headquarters building, wondered how many other soldiers had stood in that same briefing room, how many other incidents had been filed away under equipment malfunction and environmental exposure. How many other craters and holes and things that crawled out of them were scattered across Eastern Europe, across the world, waiting for the next patrol to stumble across them. We should go back, I said. Document it properly, with civilian equipment. Cameras they can't confiscate. No, Kowalski said firmly. His grandmother's stories, remember? Places where the earth is thin, where things can come through. She said there's a reason the old people marked those places with stones, a reason they stayed away, a reason we should stay away too. And did we? Did we stay away? That's the question I've been asking myself for the last 8 years. Because here's what they didn't put in the official report. 3 weeks after our patrol, a Polish army unit was conducting training exercises in that same area. 5 men, experienced territorial forces. They were found dead at the bottom of a ravine. Official cause was listed as vehicle accident during night movement. But I've seen the photos, not the ones they released to the families, the other ones, the classified ones. Those men weren't killed in a vehicle accident. I've seen enough battlefield casualties to know what happens to a body in a crash. This wasn't that. These men had been pulled apart. The following spring, NATO classified the entire region as an unexploded ordnance hazard zone, placed it off-limits to all personnel except specialized EOD teams. Those teams conducted their surveys, found nothing, and the restrictions remained in place. Still remain in place today. I pulled every string I could to get satellite imagery of that field. Called in favors. Made myself unpopular with intelligence analysts who don't like grunts asking questions above their pay grade. Finally got access to archived imagery going back 40 years. Here's what I found. The crater appears in satellite photos from 1973, Soviet-era reconnaissance. It's there, clear as day, 30 meters across, in the exact location we found it. Then it vanishes from imagery taken in 1974. Not covered up, not filled in, just gone. The field appears normal, like it had never been disturbed. It reappears in 1981, vanishes in 1982, reappears in 1989, the year the Berlin Wall fell, vanishes in 1990, reappears in 2001, vanishes in 2002, and in our year, it appeared in October. Based on the pattern, I'm guessing it vanished again shortly after we found it, before they could send another team to investigate, before they could prove we weren't suffering from cold-induced hallucinations. I don't know what that crater is. I don't know what comes out of it or where it goes when it's not there, but I know it follows a pattern, roughly every 7 to 10 years. I know the locals have stories about it that predate the Soviet Union, predate the World Wars, maybe predate Christianity in that region, and I know it's about time for it to appear again. Mills left the service after that deployment, got a medical discharge for his ankle. Last I heard, he was working private security in London. Won't talk about Poland, won't talk about that night. His wife contacted me once, asked if I knew what happened that gave him nightmares. I told her it was classified, easier than the truth. Kowalski transferred to a different unit, requested assignment as far from that border region as the Polish military would allow. I don't blame him. His grandmother's stories turned out to be right. That should terrify anyone. Davies stayed in, made captain, then major. Last month he sent me a message. Just 3 words, "It's back again." I knew what he meant. Didn't need clarification. That means somewhere in southern Poland, 3 kilometers north of the Ukrainian border, there's a crater that wasn't there yesterday. There are stones arranged in a circle around a hole in the center, and something is waking up inside it. Maybe it's NATO personnel who find it this time. Maybe it's civilians. Maybe it's no one, and the crater will vanish again before anyone notices, the cycle continuing as it has for God knows how long. But I think about those Polish soldiers, 5 experienced men. I think about whatever pulled Mills into the darkness. I think about those things standing in the field, dozens of them, hundreds of them, watching us drive away. And I think about what Kowalski said, about places where the earth is thin, about things that come through. I used to think I understood the threats we face as soldiers, enemy combatants, improvised explosives, artillery, threats you can train for, threats that make sense in a tactical framework, threats that have solutions. I don't think that anymore, because there are places in this world where the normal rules don't apply, where the ground holds things that aren't dead and aren't alive, where radios fail and photographs lie and official reports bury the truth under layers of plausible deniability. They taught us in basic training to trust our equipment, follow our orders, and believe in the chain of command. They never taught us what to do when the equipment fails, the orders don't make sense, and the chain of command can't acknowledge what's happening, because acknowledging it would mean admitting we don't have all the answers. They never taught us what to do when something crawls out of a crater that shouldn't exist and the radios go silent. I'm out now. Finished my contract. Civilian life, but I still check those satellite images, still watch for news reports from that region, still wait for Davies to send another message, because that crater is out there right now, today. And it won't be there tomorrow, but it will be back. It always comes back. And the next patrol that finds it, the next soldiers who climb down that slope and see those stones and hear that breathing from the hole, they won't be ready either. No one ever is. If you're still watching this, if you made it this far, I need you to understand something. This isn't entertainment. This isn't a creepypasta or a ghost story someone made up to scare you. This happened. It's still happening. And if you're in the service, if you're deployed to Eastern Europe, if you find yourself north of the Ukrainian border and you see a crater that's not on your maps, walk away. Don't investigate. Don't document it. Don't try to understand it. Just mark the coordinates and get the hell out of that area as fast as you can move. Because some things aren't meant to be found. Some places are marked off for a reason, and some holes in the ground lead somewhere we were never supposed to go. Before you leave, I want you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button, not because I'm trying to build a channel, because these stories need to be told. Because the next soldier who sees something they can't explain needs to know they're not crazy, needs to know they're not alone. Drop a comment if you've served in that region, if you've seen things that don't make it into the official reports, if you've been told to keep quiet about something that still keeps you awake at night. You don't have to give details. You don't have to compromise operational security. Just let me know I'm not the only one. And hit that like button so this reaches other veterans who need to hear it, who need to know their experiences are valid, even when the reports say otherwise. These stories keep coming from every theater, every era, every branch of service, and we'll keep sharing them because someone has to. Stay safe out there, watch your 6, and if you find a crater that's not on your maps, walk away. Just walk away.